What's good, y'all? It's O.D.D.I.T.Y. Welcome back for another episode of The Craft, where we talk hip hop, all things hip hop. We talk particularly the craft of hip hop and dive into processes, experiences, advice of how to become a better rapper. So, if you're new, make sure you hit subscribe. If you're returning, thank you for continuing to support me. By hitting those like buttons, hitting the share buttons, leaving comments. It all goes a long way. So thank you guys. Let's get into the topic. As hip hop artists, there's kind of this negative connotation that rappers are not the best songwriters. I mean, it's kind of true in terms of other genres, because hip hop for so long was so structured in terms of the blueprint and the architecture of a song, that if you purely just listen to hip hop, your songwriting was going to be limited in terms of growth, because obviously the more exposed you are to different types of music, the more that's going to influence how you make music. Songwriting, becoming a better songwriter, it doesn't matter what genre, I believe relies heavily on how much you absorb and how exposed you are and how much you are listening to different types of genres of music, because every genre has distinct sounds and structures and sometimes keys of pitch that are used, and the more you're exposed to, the more you can put that into your songs. So up until about, I would even say a couple, 2-3 years ago, I was very basic in terms of how I structured songs and how I wrote songs. In my songwriting I was so focused on the lyricism. It was the basic structure of hook, verse, hook, verse. I mean, no matter the genre, most songs have a similar structure, but with hip hop, a lot of the production is so boxed in, and that it's hard to retrain your brain if you're not exposed. You can't even like fathom that you can write songs differently. My advice would be, if you want to become a better songwriter, and just because you do hip hop doesn't mean that hip hop has a certain box either. It's hard to get out of that box if you aren't exposed. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have two files open, and whatever, DAW that you use, whether it's Pro Tools or Logic. Let's say you have two of the same instrumental open in two different files, and you decide you're gonna make a song on that beat now, and then you're gonna say the other one for 6 months or a year down the road after you've listened to, let's say, like 5 different albums from different genres. That song you do now, based upon the knowledge and experience you have, is going to sound way different from that song you do in a year if you've been listening to different genres, because you're going to pick up things like, there's bridges, and they don't have to always come at the same point, and hooks don't have to start the song. You can start the song right with a verse. You can end the song with a verse, and then the song can just end. You can start the song with some type of like intro bridge, or end it with an outro bridge. You can do an 8-bar verse and go into a 16-bar hook, and then you could go into a 16-bar verse, back to a 16-bar hook. The structures are there's unlimited what you can do. Now, if you want to be mainstream, it's a little bit different, because it's almost like a science and equation of like what people want to hear. But if you're talking about making music for yourself and like for your own albums, you can experiment, but you need to listen to different styles of music. And a good one to listen to would be Childish Gambino's Because the Internet. If you want to like a mind fuck of like song structure. And so go check that one out. There's nothing wrong with the normal structure either. I'm not even just talking about structure. I'm talking about, by listening to other genres, you're gonna pick up new sounds, ways of singing, delivery, the way layers. I'm someone who likes to have a singing element, and so singing, like 90s R&B is huge. Even today, like even some of the pop music like Dua Lipa. There's some other artists, like the layers that they do has influenced me, and I've taken it into my songwriting. The delivery on singing, you don't have to sing the same way, or when you rap, like that melodic rap, that came from another genre, but you know, Drake was one of the big ones to do it, Kid Cudi as well, to kind of start that melodic. I shouldn't say that, because you had like artists like Bone Thugs and Harmony, and there's been numerous, but in terms of recently, like Drake is usually the one that gets, and Kid Cudi are the ones that get that melodic, like the roots of it. But they took that from other genres as well, you know, R&B and rock, and now it's become a part of hip hop. Artists like Post Malone, who was like, I think like a folk, like I don't know what he was. He was some type of other type of genre singer. He's brought in a sound and adapted it to other sounds, and there's a lot of sub-genres, and the songwriting element of that comes from absorbing from everywhere else. So just make sure that you're open to listening to new styles of music and different styles, because ultimately it's going to make you a better songwriter. So as always, thank you for tuning into The Craft. I'm O.D.D.I.T.Y. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, share, comment, and we'll see you next week.